with respect to the Buddha, with respect to our Venerable Teacher Tai. Dear brothers and sisters, dear Sangha and dear friends, today is the 8th of February, the year 2018, and we are in the Stillwater Meditation Hall in Upper Hamlet for our last Dharma talk of the winter retreat. Tai very often would begin a Dharma talk with a short guided meditation. The meditation was breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out, I smile to life in me and around me. We know that the practice of mindfulness gives us freedom. Freedom to smile. Freedom to laugh, to cry, to frown, to sneeze, to cough, to be who we are, to be our true selves, to be honest and to be real, to experience life deeply and to live life fully. And we believe that is why we have come here. During the 3 months of our living and practicing together, we've been able to realize all these aspects of daily life, being together. In the time of the Buddha, when it was known where he would be living, teaching and practicing, the monastics traveled from many different parts of India to be with the Buddha. And we see that even in our own time, more than 2,600 years later, it is similar. During the time of the Buddha, they didn't know one another when they arrived. Of course, a small group who traveled together, who walked together, knew one another, but the rest of them probably didn't. And when we began our winter retreat in November, many of us have traveled from many different countries, and we didn't know one another in the beginning. And now, after 3 months, I believe we have learned a lot more about one another and about ourselves. And this is also true for the monastics. We had new roommates. We may have changed rooms, changed hamlets. So the practice was in the context of newness and going deeper into our understanding of ourselves and others. This winter we've been learning about the 7 factors of awakening. And we know that we already have this experience of awakening. We don't have to wait until we have memorized all 7 factors. If you'll permit me to use the word in a very literal sense, I will say that this morning each of us had an awakening. Isn't that true? Our eyes opened and we were awake. If we did not have that awakening, we could not have been here this morning. So awakening is part of our life, the waking up every morning. Thai has given us a very beautiful gatha that we repeat every morning. Waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live them mindfully and to look on all beings with eyes of compassion. So the very beginning of each day, we remind ourselves of the word mindfulness and compassion, a quality that we want to nourish and practice during the day. There's a practice that I've been doing more recently. When my eyes open, I don't wait until I come to the meditation hall to begin my sitting, my mindful breathing. I sit up in bed. My eyes open, I sit up in bed, and I begin mindful breathing. Not too long, just long enough to establish my mindfulness of breathing. Maybe 10 breaths. It varies. So in a sense, I begin the motor of my mindful breathing, my mindful sitting. Even before my feet touch the floor, I'm breathing mindfully. And then I begin the practice of compassion, but in a very small way. It doesn't take too long. I send thoughts of compassion to people in our Sangha, in the world, where I know there is suffering. So for example, I will begin, may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I have good practice today. If there's some tension or tightness in a relationship with anyone, a misunderstanding, I send thoughts of healing. May our relationship be peaceful. May there be understanding and acceptance. So I do this every morning. In fact, I make a list before I go to sleep at night. If I'm aware of anything that needs some kind of loving energy, whatever you want to call it, support, I have the list, and then in the morning I read the list to myself, But it's just a few moments of sending compassion, support, and healing energy to any situation that needs it a little bit. With this practice, I have found that it has helped me, of course, because I put my mind in a very positive direction the first thing in the morning. And when looking at why this is such a good practice for myself, I realized that during the night, while sleeping, there has been no stimuli. I haven't had to answer the telephone or talk to anyone. There's been no input, so to speak. The mind has been resting and not thinking. Perhaps there have been dreams, but that has come from store consciousness. There has been no input into mind consciousness. And so my mind is more fresh, more open. So I'm happy to share a practice I do every morning, almost. And I have found it helpful, and I invite you to try it if you wish. The first seconds of your awakening. Send yourself compassion, love, understanding, peace, and then offer it to others. You may want to offer it to family members, or to the friends, Sangha members, or the situation in the world. And it doesn't take even 5 minutes. It's very short. And then I begin the day. So, the practice of compassion, we know, is one of the 4 unlimited minds that the Buddha taught. And I'd like to be able to draw these on the board so we can have a look of how these 4 unlimited minds relate to the practice of the 7 factors of awakening. It's very interesting how to descend from the platform. I like to do it this way. There are stairs, but I prefer not to use them. So I will draw the 4 unlimited minds, the 4 Brahma Viharas, in an interesting way. This one looks funny, so. So we know there is compassion. And that Thai has described that. As the wish and the capacity to remove the suffering of others. Compassion. There's loving kindness, friendliness, the wish and the capacity to bring happiness and joy to others. There's joy. And this joy, mudita, compassion is karuna, loving kindness is maitri, joy is mudita, and that's the kind of joy where you're very happy with others' good fortune. It's joy without jealousy. And the other one is upeksha, equanimity. So we studied this winter the 7 factors of awakening, and in Sanskrit it's Sapta Bodhyanga. Sapta means 7. Bodhi is awakening. And Anga is limb, Limbs. So we may have the image of a tree that has 7 limbs. Each factor of awakening can be considered a limb of a tree. So please bear with me as I try to draw a tree. And it's going to be a funny looking tree, I know it. Okay. Yes, it's a funny looking tree. Do we have an artist who would like to draw a nice tree? Someone would like to draw a tree? Okay, please. What I need is I need six limbs, okay? 6.
Okay.
Okay? Wait, we'll take these away. Just 6. Okay, thank you. That's a beautiful tree. Thank you. Thank you. You know, spring is coming. Maybe we can give the tree some leaves. Why don't we? We'll pretend it already has leaves. Okay. Looks more like a tree. All right. Thank you very much. So we have the first factor of mindfulness, first factor of the 7 factor of awakening is mindfulness. The second factor is, I know you know this already, but I'll repeat it for our friends who've just arrived, maybe Friday or the week before. Investigation. And that's investigation of dharmas. And when dharma, the word, is used in this way, it means all phenomena, everything. Investigation of our thinking, of objects we see, how things come to be, how they manifest, how our emotions come up, how an orange manifests from a tree. Investigation. The next one is energy, diligence. Effort, perseverance, it's continuing. It could be our life energy as well. Okay. Next one is joy. And then we have ease. We can think of relaxation, being at ease. Tranquility. The next is concentration. This is the first time I'm writing sideways. It's not too clear, but I'm saying the word concentration. And the final one is equanimity, or letting go. Buddha actually said that if we practice the 7 factors of awakening with the 4 unlimited minds, that full and complete liberation would be possible. But we've seen that already we have awakening. And we can practice the 4 foundations of mindfulness in our everyday life, and we can have a better understanding, have the capacity to look more deeply and help others. I would like to speak a little bit about the 4 unlimited minds first, and I'm going to speak of them maybe in a way that hasn't been spoken of in the sutras. Let us look at compassion. Compassion has a younger sister. Compassion's younger sister is called kindness, loving kindness. So I'm using a figurative example. Let's imagine. Okay. Compassion has an elder brother. His name is equanimity. And compassion has a elder brother, equanimity, and a younger brother. His name is joy. And they're part of a family. The family of unlimited love. So we can look how they relate to one another. Equanimity, the elder brother, has 2 younger sisters. He has a younger brother, Joy. Loving kindness has an elder sister, elder brother, and younger brother. So the family relations are such. But we know together that they have a relationship of brothers and sisters. So they create brotherhood and sisterhood with themselves. And we know here at Plum Village, this is the practice of our monastics and with our lay friends as well. We look on one another as brothers and sisters. Thai said in a Dharma talk maybe 10 years ago that we all want to love and to be loved. And that love is very important in our life. And we have to learn how to love so we don't create suffering for ourselves and others. So we've learned how to love in this way. And for our lay friends, we have the 5 mindfulness trainings. And the third one we know is about true love. We want to develop our capacity to love with compassion, to have compassion, kindness, friendliness, joy, and equanimity. So I'm using these words in a very different way, but I want to describe the brotherhood and sisterhood that we develop here. The sisters with the sisters, brothers with the brothers, sisters with the brothers, brothers with the sisters, sisters with our lay friends with the monastics. This brotherhood and sisterhood, because we are part of a sangha. We're part of a spiritual family. There was one other member of the family. We're going to call him a young cousin. He's not very well known, but he's still very important as a bodhisattva. He's a little cousin. His name is Sadapadi Buddha. Maybe you remember him from the text on evoking the bodhisattva's names. He's a bodhisattva. And what he would do is he would go around and tell everyone that they were Buddhas. They had the capacity to be a Buddha. And he was called the Bodhisattva of never despising. He never despised anyone. And he would let everyone know that they have wonderful qualities, the capacity to be Buddhas, and he loved and respected them. And it is said that people could not accept his positive flower watering, so they would throw things at him. Tomatoes, potatoes, I don't know. They didn't love him because they were a bit frightened at his boldness. What do you mean, I can be a Buddha? But he's a little cousin of the 4 unlimited minds, because he recognizes the best in everyone. And he would say, you are a precious wonder of life. He would tell this to people, and they would say, oh, come on. So he practiced deep inclusiveness, deep respect. He's the bodhisattva of deep respect and reverence. Never saying bad things or thinking bad things about anyone. So he inspired self-confidence and love in people. So let's take a minute to come back to ourselves and create a feeling of peace and happiness in ourselves as we practice mindful breathing on listening to the sound of a bell. So we see mindfulness has a very important position in the diagram, only in the diagram. It reaches down to the level of the four unlimited minds, so all aspects of love are permeated with mindfulness. The energy of mindfulness is there. And it also extends up to all of the practices of the 7 factors of awakening. So mindfulness is present as we investigate why things are the way they are. When we have mindfulness and concentration, we know we will be able to understand more deeply and investigate and be able to see more clearly what we are looking at and looking for. When mindfulness is present with ease, we are aware that perhaps our body has tension. So mindfulness helps us practice ease. We need to stop, breathe, let go. We can create tranquility with mindfulness, with mindful breathing, mindful walking. When mindfulness is present with equanimity, what does that mean? Equanimity is our capacity to let go of our ideas, our notions, to practice inclusiveness, to practice acceptance. So mindfulness helps us be aware of the situation where we want to practice balancing, equanimity, letting go of our suffering, our resentment, or any aspect that is requiring us to let go. Mindfulness is there as protecting, nourishing, and helping us with the practices of these factors of awakening. Mindfulness is present with joy as well. I have a wonderful memory of my grandmother connected with joy. She loved canary, the little yellow bird, canary. Do you know canary? And my grandmother, Yaya, she always seemed to have a canary. And when we would visit her, the canary was not in the cage. The canary went to the cage only to sleep at night. So at night, the little bird went to the cage, and grandmother covered the cage with a cloth, and the bird slept very peacefully and quietly at night. And then in the morning, grandmother would take off the cloth and open the door of the cage, and the little canary would come out and sit on her shoulder or her arm, her hand, and they would talk to each other. She would talk to him, and he'd chirp and sing. It was a moment of joy for both of them. And they were mindful of each other's presence, I'm sure. Moments of joy. There is a sentence from the great Japanese haiku poet Basho. And the sentence I love so much is this. I imagine he felt a lot of joy when he said this. He said, "Come, butterfly, it's late. We've got miles to go together." Little butterfly, we've got miles to go together. We're going to travel together. If I had a little butterfly, I would invite the butterfly to walk the Saint-Jacques de Compostelle. Yes, Saint-Jacques. We would do this walk together, a little butterfly. So this is joy. And when we are open to the wonders of life, which are found in the present moment, joy is available. So one of the practices I like to do is to discover joy. And the beginning of spring, we have many opportunities. If you go to the edge of the where the forest begins, just opposite the meditation hall, you will see the jonquil. The daffodils are starting to bloom. This is joy. This is joyful to see the spring flowers. After it rains, please look at the branches of the tree, and you'll see the raindrops hanging down. They don't fall. That's a miracle, isn't it? The raindrops they sit there at the edge, all of them. They're just sitting on the edge of the branch. That's joy. So I invite all of us to find something that nourishes our joy, and spring is a very good time for that. Concentration. When mindfulness is there, we know concentration has been described as letting our mind rest on one object, as a bird places itself on the branch of a tree. This is a very beautiful way to concentrate, not with force, but gently. We bring our mind and our attention to an object as a bird lands on the branch of a tree. So that we see now mindfulness, it embellishes, it enriches the practices of these 7 factors of awakening. And we know that we're practicing the 7 factors of awakening every day here. For example, when the bell is invited, we stop. We breathe in and out mindfully. We're concentrating on our breath. With every step that we take in mindfulness, this is concentration. This is equanimity. We're letting go of our thinking. We're just walking. When we practice total relaxation every Saturday evening, it's lying down meditation, and that's the practice of ease and tranquility. When we have a difficult moment, some strong emotions come up, we know what to do. We're going to stop, breathe in and out, calm the mind so the water of the mind is clear enough. The ripples have subsided. The waves of the mind have calmed down. The citta vritti. Vritti is the wave, citta is the mind. The mind is calm, and then we can practice looking deeply, investigation. Why do I feel this way now? What is the situation that is awakening this response in me? We know that living in the present moment gives us more opportunities to look deeply and understand, to practice investigation of dharmas. We experience the past. We learned in the beautiful Dharma talk of our brother Phap last Sunday how time, it travels, it recycles. Something from the past can come up again. It comes up in the present moment, and we have our practice of stopping, breathing, calming, and looking deeply to understand more deeply what were the factors, what were the elements of this experience in the past that may be giving me feelings of sadness, of anger, of fear. So our practice in the present moment is the key to transforming the past. And we know every minute will continue its journey into the future. So the future will come to us again. So past, present, and future perhaps meet in the present moment. There's a funny noise. I don't know if I'm making it. I don't know what to do to stop making this noise. When strong feelings come up for us, there's a beautiful gatha we can remember. Thai gave this gatha. Feelings come and go like clouds in a windy sky. Mindful breathing is my anchor. And there's an image in the Vietnamese version of the boat is in a harbor and we drop the anchor. And the mindful breathing is this anchor that will keep me stable and solid while these feelings come and go. So this is our basic practice. When there are strong feelings, I stop. I breathe in and out, and my boat is anchored. I will not be carried away by the feelings. They are clouds in a windy sky, and they can be quite strong. It could be a storm. And I know that if I stop, anchor myself with mindful breathing, everything will be okay. So we have many practices that Thai has given us for living our life deeply, wonderfully, with understanding, compassion, kindness, letting go, and joy. These are the foundations of our practice of the 7 factors of awakening. Let us practice now this calming of the waters of our mind with some mindful breathing, anchoring ourselves. We can use the image of the anchor or the island. The Buddha gave also the image, be an island unto yourself, attadipa. Be this island, come back to this island that we have with mindful breathing. During the summer retreat every year, we have a children's program. And children who are 6 years old up to 12, they can be part of the children's program. And every summer we let the children know about 2 promises they can make to live their life more beautifully and to bring more happiness to themselves, their parents, their brothers and sisters, to friends at school. So these are called the two promises. And the two promises for children, it's before their grown-ups take the 5 promises, 5 mindfulness trainings. Children can start with 2. And the first one is, I vow to develop my compassion in order to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. And that's very beautiful, because the children are learning how to love all forms of life. Not only mommy and daddy and their brothers and sisters and people at school, but all forms of life. Animals, plants, and minerals. Mother Earth. And we learn that connected with energy, which I haven't talked about yet, there is the diligence of knowing what thoughts I am thinking, whether they're positive or negative, and then helping the negative thoughts not stay too long, and helping the more positive thoughts stay longer. So children can learn very early on with these 2 promises how to show their compassion and love to animals, plants, and minerals in addition to people. And we learned, it was very interesting that we learned animals, when they have been studied, as one researcher studied animals for over 20 years, they also have feelings. And they have curiosity. They like to explore. And they play together. Have you ever seen 5-week-old kittens? They play, they sleep together, they bounce around. They're full of joy. So animals have feelings. And they can feel sad when their master is not there. And this was part of understanding the source of our energy resting within the mind and the consciousness. The second promise the children make is, I vow to develop my understanding in order to live peacefully with people, animals, plants, and minerals. So for understanding, we know understanding has a brother. We have love and understanding. Thai has said love and understanding go together. When we have understanding, it's much easier to love. And to love someone, we have to understand them. Sometimes we don't understand ourselves. And we may feel, I don't know where I'm going. What's ahead? We can say, where is my boat going in the unknown, deep waters of life? We may have other moments when it's better, we're feeling better. Living, waving in the golden sunlight. Flowing strongly forward. We remember we have mindfulness, mindful walking. And when we walk, we flow forward strongly. Because we're going forward. We're going in a positive direction. Flowing strongly forward as I walk. And I don't think as I walk. Flowing strongly forward. And after I'm walking, I feel better. Dancing in this sea of happiness. Sailing freely in this open circle of life. So we may not know where we're going, but with the practice, it gets better. Yeah? My friends, Where are we going? We ask our friends collectively, where are we going now? There's no motor on this boat. No motor. Only arms holding the sails. And the wind of volition pushing us forward, helping us go forward, helping us move on. So when we say, my friends, where are we going? This boat has no motor. Well, what are we going to do? But we know we are with others and we have sails. What are the sails? They are the practice. We have our practices. We know when to raise the sail. All right, a little bit more mindful breathing now, everybody. Lower the sails. There's a storm. Let's anchor. The sails are the practice, and we're together. And Thai said, you know, the 14 mindfulness trainings are the light. They are the torch lighting our path, the boat carrying us. So when we're in the boat, it carries us. The boat is our Sangha. And the trainings are also the teacher guiding us. So they are the light, the boat, and the teacher. So when we practice with the Sangha, we go together. And this is a beautiful aspect of our practice that we have experienced, whether 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 months. We've been together, raising and lowering the sails, practicing a little bit more with the winds, whatever the winds be. Strong emotion, no wind, that means pretty calm now, it's all right. We can just drift with the ocean. And a Sangha doesn't have to be many people. A long time ago there was a couple from Denmark, and he said, dear Thai, we live very far from most people. We live in the country, not the big city. So there's just my wife and myself. How can we have a Sangha? And Thai said, 2 people are enough for a Sangha. 2 people are enough for a Sangha. So after the retreat, you may want to invite one other person to join you in your Sangha. Make a Sangha. Enjoy walking mindfully, drinking tea mindfully, listening to Thai Dharma talks. So many are available now on YouTube. And you have your Sangha, eating mindfully. I would like to invite Thai to be with us now in the form of a teaching he used to give at the end of retreats. Thai's always with us, but I'd like to share a teaching that Thai would offer at the end of a retreat. And it's a teaching really on no birth, no death. Thai would have a box of matches, and he would say, my dear little flame, where are you? Where are you? And the match would say, dear Thai, dear Sangha, I'm here, but you can't see me. There aren't enough conditions for me to manifest. And then Thai would teach us, for the little flame to manifest, we have to have enough conditions. So the condition of the match is there. the matchbox where we strike the match. That is a condition already there. There's air and oxygen for the match to burn. There's the wood to burn the sulfur, the little red dot. But we lack one condition. That's the condition of volition. Striking the matchbox. Volition. So volition has its very positive aspect. Doing something that will result in something that we want. But we also have seen the word volition in terms of the four nutriments, haven't we? The edible food, sensory impressions, volition, and then consciousness. And in that teaching of the four nutriments, the nutriments were presented in a way of helping us not eat what is not good for us, not receive in our sense organs what will result in suffering. We need to guard our six senses. The volition of being pushed to do something that will result in suffering, and then the consciousness volition, which is being in an environment that affects our consciousness in negative ways. So we know that the four nutriments can be taught in terms of helping us not consume anything that will result in suffering, unhappiness for ourselves or others. What we eat or drink, what we watch, listen to, touch, etc. And then the thoughts that we think. And the volition to push ourselves, to be rich, to make our life very unbalanced. So this is the four nutriments. And yet we can look at the four nutriments in a way the Thai taught us to see the very positive aspect of nutriments. The food that is very wholesome and good. We are vegan. And everyone who has been with us, we've survived, haven't we? Eating vegan. And it's quite delicious and healthy. It's a good nutriment. No alcohol. It's very good. We've managed with the first nutriment, edible food, what we eat and consume. The second is sensory impressions. So we've had very wholesome sensory impressions here. Listening to the chanting, the birds in the morning, seeing the sunrise, the sunset, the flowers, the green grass. That's nurturing for our senses. Relaxation, mindful walking, nurturing. The third, volition. Our volition has been diligence and energy to come to sitting meditation. Enjoy walking meditation. That's volition to practice. The force of volition moving us on, pushing us forward in a positive way. And then the wholesome volition of consciousness is we are in an environment where everyone is practicing understanding, mindfulness, looking deeply, compassion, forgiveness. This is the environment that has been created by Thai and all of us collectively. So the wholesome volitions are created collectively by all of us. So when Thai said, "My dear little flame, where are you?" She says, "I'm here, Thai, but I need one more condition, the condition of striking the match." that action will be the final condition necessary for the little flame to manifest. Let's see. Vintai would say, "My little flame, where have you come from? Where did you come from?" And the flame would answer Tai, "Dear Tai, I have come from nowhere. I have not come from the north, the south, the east, the west. I have not come from above or below." Let's bring a brother in, because she's getting tired. She can't manifest anymore. That was the end of her condition. No more wood. That's one of the conditions where she cannot manifest anymore. So it's the teaching on no coming, no going, no birth, no death, just manifestation and ceasing to manifest when the conditions are no longer present. So the flame has to cease to manifest when there's no more wood. And another practice Tai would offer to us would be the teaching on continuation, no birth, no death. And for that we can remember the gatha that Tai wrote before lighting a candle. Respectful of countless Buddhas and ancestors, I calmly light this candle, brightening the face of the earth. And just imagine that now. The earth will be brighter because there's a candle lit. Imagine you're an astronaut high up and you see the earth and there's one little candle in Tenac, France, that is brightening the whole earth. And as an astronaut, you would be very happy to see one candle brightening the face of the earth. So we know that the flame has not come from anywhere. It hasn't come from the north or the south or the east or the west, or it hasn't come from above or below. We know a candle to be a true candle, to fulfill its function as a candle. It needs to be lit, isn't that true? It's the interbeing nature of a candle. It needs the flame to be a real candle. And for the flame to be there, it needs the condition, doesn't it, that we just saw. It needs the final striking of the matchbox, the match, for the flame to manifest. And for another flame to manifest, it needs this flame, doesn't it? So we want another flame to manifest. Now Tai would say, "Dear flame, this flame in the red house, are you the same flame as the flame in the white house? Are you the same?" Try that again. Are you the same flame? And the flame would answer, "Dear Tai, I'm not the same flame, but I'm not completely different." So this is the teaching on continuation. We're the continuation of our ancestors. I'm not completely the same as my mother and father And yet, I am not completely different. Not completely different from all my ancestors. So when we recognize that, we can see there is a transmission. And we can say the flame represents anything. Then the wisdom of the Dharma lamp. We know that before the Olympic Games start, there is the lighting of the flame of the original Olympic Games that were in ancient Greece. And there is the transmission of the light across many countries in Europe by the runners who hold the torch and then they light it for the next runner. So the transmission of the flame is very sacred, very precious. And we are the precious continuation of our ancestors. Maybe we don't know enough yet about that. This is why we're here, to practice. And we'll have a very precious transmission of Vietnamese culture and tradition today, this afternoon. And as we welcome the Lunar New Year. So with that, I'd like to end now. We thank Thai for being with us, for having given us the teachings that we share with you. And we wish everyone a very happy continuation after the winter retreat, with your practice, with being with at least one other person that makes a Sangha, if you wish, or continue with your friends that you have already before you came here. A Sangha can be in the church, a synagogue, a temple. We create Sanghas everywhere. Thank you, dear friends. Let us listen to 3 sounds of the bell as we enjoy our breathing.